You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hey! Sports fans! Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you are not. I've got to start with baseball, specifically some news involving the NL West. The Los Angeles Dodgers clinched a playoff spot yesterday, becoming the second team in the majors to officially clinch their berth towards meaningful October baseball. You know who the first team was to clinch their playoff ticket? The Giants. The team that the Dodgers are chasing right now. In all fairness, I don't think that the Dodgers will catch the Giants. I think the Giants won't have to play in the NL wildcard game. They'll face the winner of the wildcard game, which means that they have the honor of going up against, most likely, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Headed into this season, we all thought that the NLDS between two NL West teams would be the real, in essence, World Series. You didn't think that any team in the National League was good enough. You didn't think that any team in the American League was good enough. You thought that those two NL West teams going at it in that best-of-5 series would be the real World Series. The thing is, though, we got the teams wrong. The Padres have had an incredibly disappointing season. They're a game out of the second wildcard spot right now. So while we got the division right, we got the teams wrong. Giants-Dodgers could very well be the real World Series. I mean, these teams, throughout the vast majority of the season, have been the two best teams in baseball. Maybe the Rays were there a little bit. Maybe the Brewers were there a little bit. Maybe the White Sox were there a little bit. If I'm being very generous, maybe the Yankees during their 13-game winning streak. But for the most part, it's been Giants-Dodgers. I mean, just look at what's happening now. The Dodgers are 7-3 in their last 10. They've won their last 5 games. They just clinched a playoff spot. Meanwhile, the Giants are on a 9-game winning streak. These two teams going at it has the potential to be one of the best LDSs we've ever seen. It will go 5 games. They're going to be knockdown, drag-em-out games. It'll be everything that's great about postseason baseball. The thing is, though, Major League Baseball is going to have an issue. Forget the fact that it's no guarantee that these two teams meet in the NLDS. That's just the nature of the beast. There can only be one division winner. Yes, anything can happen in one game, but I think it's a safe bet to say that the Dodgers will win that one game. I don't know who they're gonna go up against in that one game playoff. That is a cluster truck right now, but I think it's a safe bet to say that the Dodgers will win that one game. There are two issues, though. Number one, this matchup should not be in the NLDS. The way that Major League Baseball handled the wild card in the past was correct. It used to be whoever won the wild card couldn't face their division's winner in the LDS. And it set up some great moments. 2003, 2004, with the Yankees and Red Sox. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but as a Yankees fan, those are the two examples that I have at the top of my head. Then, when Major League Baseball expanded the playoffs to the wild card game, they made it so two teams from the same division could meet in the LDS. That's how in 2018 we got a Yankees Red Sox ALDS. Under the old system, that never would have happened. The Red Sox would have faced the Indians, and the Yankees would have faced the Astros. So either way, the Yankees lose in 2018. But that's not the point. The point is, having these intra-division matchups in the LDS deprives us of the best two teams going at it in a 7-game series. Ask any baseball fan what they'd rather see. A Giants-Dodgers NLDS or a Giants-Dodgers NLCS. They're saying CS. I mean, this can really be one of the all-time great playoff series in baseball history. Instead, we're getting it in a best of 5. Where's the finality? I mean, I'll say this. It's unfair to the Brewers. The Brewers are going to get past whoever wins the NL East. There's no question about that. Their pitching's just too good. So, we're going to get a Brewers, either Giants or Dodgers NLCS. But that's not what anyone's going to want to see, because we know that the Brewers aren't the second best team in the National League. So you're going to have a lot of fans disinterested in that series. No one's going to want to watch the Brewers. They're going to say, the Brewers? Why do we care about them? We don't know any of these guys. We don't know Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta and Brent Suter and Brad Boxberger. But we know guys like Buster Posey and Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt. We know Kevin Gausman, Anthony DeSclafani, Logan Webb, Jake McGee, Tyler Rogers, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Trey Turner, Corey Seager, etc., etc. You know why? because we've been told all throughout the season that these are the two best teams in the National League. So why should I get excited about this matchup when you've told me that the Giants and Dodgers are the two best teams in the National League? The Brewers aren't in that mix. Ergo, the Giants or Dodgers are going to win this series, right? Why should I get into it? You've told me that this is the epic playoff matchup, so anything after that just won't have the same impact. I mean, think about it this way. The Miracle on Ice team in the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. We all know that the U.S. beat the USSR. They won 4-3. What you may not remember is that that wasn't the gold medal matchup. The U.S. went on to play Finland, and by virtue of winning that game, they clinched the gold medal. The USSR went on to destroy Sweden, so they clinched the silver medal, and by virtue of Sweden having 2 ties rather than 2 losses, they got the bronze. But no one remembers the US-Finland game. No one remembers the USSR-Sweden game. Why? Because we had the Miracle on Ice. Because we had this epic matchup. Because we had one of the greatest moments in sports history. The NLDS between the Giants and Dodgers is probably going to give us some great moments. A series with that potential should be an LCS, not an LDS. There are some cases where it's unavoidable. This isn't one of those times. Also, think about it this way. All of these games are going to be in California. So they're going to be the last game played on any given day. Maybe not the weekend, but on a weeknight, that's a 10 o'clock start. Maybe a 9 o'clock start. Maybe 8 if I'm pushing it. Maybe. The point is, it's a late start. You'll have 3 other baseball games before you get to this great matchup. A lot of people are going to be baseballed out. Like, if you're not a diehard baseball fan, you're just a casual baseball fan, and you're watching the early LDSs, by the time Giants-Dodgers starts, you've already watched a ton of baseball. Do you really want to watch any more? The diehard fan will, the casual fan won't. Even then, though, the diehard fan, if he's a Rays fan, or a Brewers fan, or a White Sox fan, or an Astros fan, and he just sat through his team play in a playoff game, I'll tell you from experience, that can take a lot out of you mentally. Like, if it's a close game and you're hanging on every pitch, that can be draining. The last thing on earth you want to do is sit through another 3-hour baseball game where you have no rooting interest. If this matchup was an NLCS, you have just one game happening before it, and there's no excuse for any baseball fan to not watch it. This is for the pennant. These are the two best teams in the National League going at it. I don't care if you don't watch the National League a lot, you're gonna watch this series. Major League Baseball really did themselves a disservice here. For a sport that needs a lot of help to get people into it, one of the best ways that it could get people excited would be to have this marquee playoff matchup. The two best teams in baseball throughout the bulk of the season happen during the NLCS, not during the NLDS, where it's buried after 3 other LDSs. This was preventable. You could have kept the rule that two teams in the same division can't play each other in the LDS. That way you set up the best possible matchup for the LCS. If the two best teams in baseball happen to be in the same division, make it so they face each other for the pennant. I just don't understand why you wouldn't ensure that possibility. This is a bad job by Major League Baseball. It's been an issue for a while, but we've been able to skate by. Hopefully, this mess up brings about some change. And I'll say this, there's still technically time to fix this. If Major League Baseball and the Players Association can institute the sticky stuff checking mid-season, they can change the playoff structure mid-season. It's not even changing it that drastically. It's just making it so two teams in the same division can't meet in the LDS. It's not like anything's finalized yet. We don't know who's going to have home field advantage or anything. I think it'll be the Giants, but it's possible that the Dodgers come back. Here's hoping that this issue gets fixed sooner rather than later. I want the two best teams going at it in the LCS, not in the LDS. And every baseball fan, regardless of what team they root for, should want the same thing. I mean, while I'm on the subject of wild cards, let's talk about the two wild card races. It's shaping up to be a dogfight in the American League. At this very moment, the Blue Jays and Yankees are tied for the wild card spot, whereas the Red Sox are technically 1,000th of a point behind both teams. So basically, we have a 3-team tie for both wildcard spots. I'm not sure how the tiebreaker shakes out. I'm not sure what the formula is. I know it's really convoluted. It's really stupid. The point is, it's basically a nightmare if you're a fan of one of these 3 teams. I mean, let me get this out of the way. it's basically a guarantee that the two wildcard teams come from this threesome. The Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Yankees. I think the Mariners upset the apple cart too much at the trade deadline, so they kind of sunk their chances. The athletic season was over when Chris Bassett got hurt. None of the division races are close enough to make a difference. It's going to come from this threesome. More specifically, it's going to come down to a specific set of games that these teams have left. From the 24th to the 26th, the Yankees will face the Red Sox in Boston. The series afterwards, the 28th to the 30th, they'll be in Toronto to face the Blue Jays. Make no mistake about it, that sextet will make or break the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays playoff chances. You want to tell me that these teams still have games against the Orioles? You're right. The Yankees get to pick on the Orioles tonight and tomorrow night. The Blue Jays close the season with the Orioles, and the Red Sox face the Orioles starting on Friday. The thing is, though, those games are only meaningful if the teams that you're chasing lose. For the Red Sox, it's guaranteed to matter because one of the Yankees and Blue Jays are guaranteed to lose on the days that the Red Sox face the Orioles. September 28th to September 30th, the Red Sox are going up against the Orioles. September 28th to September 30th, the Yankees are facing the Blue Jays. Then from October 1st to October 3rd, the Blue Jays have the Orioles. The Yankees close the season at home against the Rays. And the Red Sox close the season in the nation's capital against the Nationals. Which, in essence, is like facing the Orioles because the Nationals are garbage. The Red Sox have a really easy finish to this season. After facing the Yankees at Fenway, realistically, they can go 6-0. Here are their remaining games. They have one game left against the Mariners. Then they have a 3-game series in Fenway against the Orioles, a 2-game series against the Mets, a 3-game series against the Yankees. Then they travel to Camden Yards to face the Orioles, and then they close the season against the Nationals. Yes, the Yankees are going to be tough, but every other team there isn't a world beater. Sorry, Mets fans, but your team really isn't that good. No other team has it that easy. Out of the group of Blue Jays, Red Sox, Yankees, that's going to play in the Red Sox favor. Also, they seem to be getting everyone back from the COVID list soon. Chris Sale's going to be back soon. Matt Barnes is going to be back soon. It seems to be shaping up well for Boston, as much as that kills me to say. I think you can pencil in the Red Sox for one of the wildcard spots, which leaves the Yankees and Blue Jays to go at it. And make no mistake about it, the Yankees have no one to blame but themselves if they miss out on the playoffs. I'm not saying they will, but if they do, it's their own damn fault. a week ago, they went up against the Blue Jays for a 4-game series at Yankee Stadium. The Blue Jays really didn't have much of a prayer of making the playoffs at that point. If the Yankees won that series, their playoff dreams are dead. Realistically, the Blue Jays had to sweep, but what were the odds of that? The Yankees just lost a series to the Orioles. They're not losing another series, right? Let alone getting swept. That's not going to happen, right? Yeah, no, they got swept. And they got swept in pretty embarrassing fashion, too. The first 2 games of the series, the Yankees got outscored 13-1. The third game was close. It was 3-3 after 6 innings of play, but then the Yankees bullpen imploded. Clay Holmes, Chad Green, and Aroldis Chapman all gave up a run. Then the fourth game was really a joke. Make no mistake about it. It wasn't as close as a 6-4 game would indicate. Can the Yankees get some revenge at the end of the month? The answer is yes. But if they couldn't beat the Blue Jays in the Bronx, what chance do they have of beating the Blue Jays in Toronto? I don't want to make it sound like it's doom and gloom for the Yankees. It's really not. They do control their destiny. If they sweep the Orioles, take 2 out of 3 from the Indians, and sweep the Rangers, they're in great shape. But that end to the season is rough. 3 games against the Red Sox, followed by 3 games against the Blue Jays, followed by 3 games against the Rays. It doesn't get any tougher than that. The Yankees do face an uphill battle. Can they do it? The answer is yes. But it's going to be really, really tough. I mean, the one positive for the Yankees is that after today's game against the Rays, the Blue Jays still have to play the Rays 3 more times. From the 20th to the 22nd, they're going to be playing at Tropicana Field. Now, the Rays haven't clinched anything yet. They haven't clinched home field advantage in the American League, so they're still going to be playing for something. If the Rays clinch home field advantage, by the time they go to the Bronx, and they can't overtake the Giants or Dodgers, maybe, just maybe, the Rays will use that series as an opportunity to rest their guys. I'm not saying that's going to happen definitively, but it is a possibility. I mean, I have no idea who's going to get that second wildcard spot. I think the Red Sox will get the first one. But as for the second one, the Blue Jays or Yankees, it's really, really tough for me to make a prediction. I'd love to say the Yankees, but I can't say that confidently. The Yankees let the Blue Jays back into the race. It's just that simple. I'll throw something else at you. If the Red Sox are hosting the Yankees at Fenway Park for the wildcard game, I'm going to do my damnedest to go to that game. I'll figure out a way to go. Whether it's booking a hotel room or doing a lot of driving in a 24-hour period, I'm going to do my best to go to that game. And my buddy Nick, Nick Ornberger. He lives in Massachusetts. I'm sure if I reached out to him, he'd love to go to that game with me. And after not seeing playoff baseball live last year, I am prepared to spend a lot of money on that trip to Boston. I was going to try to figure out a way to go to Texas if the Yankees had made it that far. Obviously, they didn't. From here to Boston, it's a doable drive. No traffic. You could probably get there in 4 to 5 hours. With traffic, 6 to 7, I'll do it. Leave early the day of the game. Maybe leave the day before just to be safe. It could be done. The thing is, though, if the Yankees have to go to Toronto, it gets a lot more complicated. The Canadian government has imposed a lot of hoops to jump through if you want to travel to Canada. Can it be done? The answer is yes. But from looking up all the restrictions, it just doesn't seem worth it. You've got to produce a negative COVID test within 72 hours of entering Canada. If the Yankees aren't insured to play the Blue Jays in Toronto until the last game of the season, how am I going to do that? You may get picked for a random test, which opens up another host of problems. It just doesn't seem worth it. Boston seems doable. And I think that's where the wild card game is going to be played. Toronto, I don't think so. Moving on now to the NL wildcard race, where there's another dogfight. Realistically, it's between 3 teams. Phillies and Mets fans would like to think that they're in it. I guess technically speaking they are, but if I had to put money on it, I'd say that the Phillies and Mets aren't going to make the playoffs. So we're left with the Cardinals, Reds, and Padres. I want to focus on the Cardinals. I've spoken about the Reds and Padres in the past. Let's focus on the Cardinals. A very impressive team right now. A team that had very faint playoff hopes not that long ago is suddenly in the driver's seat. Season ends today, they're playing the Dodgers in the wild card game. They're a half game up on the Reds. They're 1 game up on the Padres. This month, they've been excellent. They won their series against the Reds. They lost their series to the Brewers, but the Brewers are a really, really, really good team. Like I said, their pitching's fantastic. They split a 4-game series against the Dodgers. They won 2 out of 3 against the Reds. And they have a chance to sweep the Mets tonight. This was the hard part of their schedule, but they're getting through it. After this, they face the Padres in St. Louis. Then they travel to Milwaukee. But the way the Cardinals are playing right now, they've won 4 straight. By the time they face the Cubs, it's very possible that the Cardinals have a really good hold on the second wildcard spot. The Cardinals are a good team. They really are. They have a great manager in Mike Shildt, one of the best managers in the game. I know that the players love him. The Paul Goldschmidt trade from a couple years ago still looks like a stroke of genius. Yadier Molina is still producing. He's a future Hall of Famer. Tommy Edmonds a solid player. The Nolan Arenado trade looks even better now than it did when it was consummated. I didn't even know that was possible. Tyler O'Neill is really underrated. Dylan Carlson looks really good, living up to his billing as a top prospect. Adam Wainwright can still throw the ball. Kwang Hyun Kim's really good. You wouldn't know it from Javier Baez hitting the big home run off Gio Gallegos, but the Cardinals' bullpen is actually pretty good. Alex Reyes, Genesis Cabrera, Andrew Miller, TJ McFarland, and Luis Garcia. We haven't talked about the Cardinals a lot this year, but make no mistake about it. They have a real chance to be in the wild card game. Do I think they're gonna beat the Dodgers? The answer is no. I don't think any team is gonna beat the Dodgers in the wild card game. I understand it's just one game, but from a talent perspective, the Cardinals just don't measure up to them. Neither do the Reds, and realistically, neither did the Padres. But in the immortal words of Kevin Garnett, anything's possible. The Cardinals could be that team in position to knock off Goliath. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe they'll do their best David impression. Alright, now I'll give you some NBA Valk talk. Specifically on the Nuggets signing Aaron Gordon to a 4-year extension worth $92 million. And I don't hate this move, but I don't love it either. I like Aaron Gordon a lot. I think he's a really good player. Once upon a time, I really wanted him on the Nets. And he looks just like Aaron Judge, who should win AL MVP. I don't care about anyone else. The thing is, though, should he really be getting $23 million a year? In a perfect world, is that what he'd be getting? I mean, think about it. Last year, he put up just 12.5 points per game, just over 5.5 rebounds per game, and just over 3 assists per game. With the Nuggets, he wasn't great. Barely put up 10 points a game. Was decent against the Blazers, but did nothing against the Suns. $23 million a year, $92 million total. No, he's not worth that. Some people are going to say, look at the other contracts that were given out this year. I get it. A lot of players got overpaid. Duncan Robinson got overpaid. Tim Hardaway got overpaid again. Gary Trent got overpaid. I totally get it, but that doesn't make overpaying guys right. Who was going to line up and sign Aaron Gordon to that big a contract? You want to tell me that the Nuggets really wanted to keep their core intact? I totally get it. And I like the Nuggets. If Jamal Murray comes back at 100% and plays every playoff game, the Nuggets can make some noise. I like the starting 5 of Jamal Murray, Will Barton, MPJ, Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. And I like their bench. I like Monte Morris. I like Bones Highland. I like Jeff Green. I like Bol Bol. I like JaMychal Green. I understand wanting to keep this group together, but to overpay Aaron Gordon to make that happen, that's tough for me to get behind. I don't hate this move, but I don't love it either. Since it's Yom Kippur tomorrow and there's going to be no show, I figured I'd close this show out by previewing the Thursday night football game between the Giants and Washington. Now, this is what I love about New York football fans. After one game, they're ready to either say that they're going to win the Super Bowl or they're going to go 0-17. You've got a bunch of Giants fans saying that they're going to go 0-17. And look, I get it. The Giants did not play well on Sunday. There's no question about that. Make no mistake about it, the final score of that game was really 27-7. I can't read anything into a rushing touchdown from Daniel Jones with no time left on the clock. That means nothing to me. The Broncos were ready to go home. They were ready for a night out on the town in New York, and then after that, they were going to fly back to Denver. I just can't read anything into that. I mean, the reality is Daniel Jones just isn't that good. He's not a good quarterback. I'd say it was a nice try, but it really wasn't. That pick never should have happened. It was doomed to fail. You want to tell me that Jones played well? Look at the stats? Come on. Were you watching the game? What was the key moment in that game? The Broncos made it a 2-score game. The Giants' offense was struggling all game, but they actually got something going on this drive. They get the ball to the Broncos 22, and then Daniel Jones fumbles the ball. You have an opportunity to make it a 1-score game again, and you fumble it. Danny dimes my ass. This guy is Danny Fumbles. Since debuting in the NFL, no one has made more fumbles than Daniel Jones. He's been in the NFL since 2019. He's already in the top 30 on the active leaderboard for most fumbles. It hasn't been fixed. Okay, it should have been fixed. It wasn't. That's a bad job by Jones. After Malik Reed recovered the fumble, the Broncos made it 20-7, and the Giants' offense really fizzled out. Even a guy like Saquon Barkley, he's back. One of the best running backs in the NFL. He's going to lead the Giants to the promised land. He only had 10 carries for 26 yards. You've got to be kidding me. The Giants' offense was absolutely anemic on Sunday. Their defense wasn't much better. I thought the secondary had a terrible game. I thought the linebackers were bad. I thought the D-line was good. I liked what Leonard Williams, Austin Johnson, and Dexter Lawrence did. But everyone else I thought was useless. Logan Ryan played well, in all fairness to him. I shouldn't knock him. But it's really tough to be sold on the Giants after watching that game, even though Washington is starting Taylor Heineke. You're going to the backup? That should bode well for your opponent, right? Taylor Heineke's not bad. Taylor Heineke has talent. I'm excited to see what he can do. This game is going to come down to two things. Antonio Gibson and Washington's defense. You know that Washington is going to be Gibson reliant. It's going to be tough for him to really get going against a stout Giants D-line, but last week he had 20 carries for 90 yards. I understand that it's going to be tough, there's no question, but Gibson has the talent necessary to carry this Washington offense. If he does, Washington's going to win. If he doesn't, it's going to be all on Taylor Heinicke, and as much as I like Heinicke, that's a tough ask. But what I'm really excited about is the Washington defense. Washington has a great D-line. Montez Sweat, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Chase Young. It's arguably the best D-line in the NFL. But what we're not talking about is their secondary. I thought Bobby McCain and Cameron Curl played really well against the Chargers on Sunday. I thought William Jackson was better than his Pro Football Focus grade of 57.9 would indicate. Landon Collins has talent. Kendall Fuller has talent. Make no mistake about it. Washington has the secondary necessary to make Daniel Jones' life very difficult. And I'll say this, you know that Jones is going to be running for his life on every play. The Giants don't have a good O-line anyway, but with Shane Lemieux out, it gets that much worse. The Washington D-line is going to feast on this really bad Giants O-line. All in all, I think Washington's going to win this game. I just don't like this matchup for the Giants. I know that they've been successful at FedEx Field for a long time. They've actually won 5 in a row there. But I think that streak is going to end here. I think Taylor Heinicke will do enough to win. I think Antonio Gibson will do enough to win. But it'll really be Washington's defense that steals the show. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a defensive struggle. The over-under is 40.5. I like the under there. I don't see this being a 21-20 game. I see this as more of a 20-14 or 20-17 game. Regardless, give me Washington. Until Friday, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.